if you had 4 notes to paint a picture of the human soul, could you do it? In my memory that stick out with the most intense beauty are those moments that I spent perfectly in the moment. Parties, laughs, theme park rides. But ecstasy is not the common denominator. Rather, it's not wasting a single second in the past or in the future. Behind it all is this irrational decision to find that moment meaningful. Blade Runner 2049 is a reflection on one of the greatest human enigmas, meaning a film so introspective that it honestly makes the prospect of scoring it quite terrifying. Ingeniously though, co-composer Benjamin Balfish thought to make the score a reflection on this very quandary, the idea that meaning comes from an irrational choice. The choice to believe that our lives are meaningful. It's a pretty unsatisfactory answer, but the movie shows us that in the search for a rational reason as to why our lives have meaning, we would only find the most unsatisfactory answers anyways. And it does this by disproving 2 major assumptions that we make about the world. 1, that there's legitimacy behind our definition of reality, and 2, that purpose is the driving force behind our actions. In the topic of reality, I'm pretty fascinated with the addition of the character of Joy, a character added for the sole purpose of blurring this line between what is real and not. We, the audience, are tasked with performing a twisted version of the Turing test in which we see her, we admire her good looks, we're charmed by her words, but there are shots interlaced between those in which we can tell she's a translucent projection and those where we almost feel her as a material presence. Like with Kay, we know she's a Wiles fabrication, and yet she lenses the tenderest moments, only to be interrupted by a malfunction in which we can tell she's all ones and zeros, and it leaves us with this hollowness. Naturally, Kay is also a reflection on this idea. He is fooled into believing that he is special, that he's real. But behind the curtain of a higher purpose always lays dreaded cold disappointment. It's a realization so painful that it leads to a further realization that reality is only what we choose to accept, nothing more. So what then are the objective parameters through which we judge what is real and not? Everything is made, and with time, everything is destroyed. So what then? The momentary nature of our existence grants us the ability to choose for ourselves what we choose to accept as real. And if this objective reality, if this objective truth is either unattainable for us humans or non-existent altogether, then what exactly makes us believe in purpose? Behind this ridiculous notion that we know exactly what we're supposed to do is just fear of a meaningless existence. Because deep inside we believe we must do this or that to gain our worth, but like I've already said, to be worthy, all you have to do is believe yourself worthy. For those of you that remain unconvinced, I invite you to do the following exercise. Say the sentence, "My life is without purpose." We're going to say it 2 more times, but we're going to connotate it differently each time. First with a nihilistic connotation, then with a profound positive connotation, right? The first recitation naturally makes me sad, right? Obviously. But how can it be that the second one makes me feel boundless and complete? If meaning exists beyond reason, then maybe faith is the answer to completeness. And I'm not talking about religious faith. I'm talking about faith that good exists and that good is good. They are elemental beliefs that sit atop a hierarchy of beliefs. They're unexplainable and irrational. Speaking from personal experience, when a composer is tasked with creating a musical render of a topic as abstract as the meaning of life, we cannot resort to our usual emotional paintbrush. Instead, we resort to philosophy. We search for the poetry and the literary themes that we're tasked with expressing. And well, the soul, the amalgamation of human experience, memory, and emotion, a concept so expansive that in negotiating its emotional boundlessness, we would be tasked with composing a symphony that would remain incomplete after 1,000 movements. Instead, though, we're given 4 notes for the smell of wet soil when it rains. 4 notes for the feeling of a warm, loving embrace. 4 notes to remind us that all life has meaning and value. Consider the grass clump that sprouts and dies, inconsequential in the grand scheme of time, but in the moment that it lives. In community, it aids the density of a great grass field. Unbeknownst to its purpose, it fulfills its real role, to exist. So, as heavy as your mundane pursuits might feel, given enough time, you, him, her, will all give yourselves back to darkness, where blood-black nothingness begins to spin, a system of cells interlinked within cells, interlinked within one stem. We're dreadfully distinct against the dark. A tall white fountain plays.